What's up, people? Thank you for tuning back into the show. This is part 2 or 3 of this psychotherapist podcast episode. In this segment, we'll be discussing my Hitlerian writings and rants on World War II and how, in different circumstances, the United States may have not been quite the majestic good guys that we remember them all as. Fuck the troops, I'll say it. We also discuss some politics, my personal political leanings, all kinds of good shit. Just fucking listen, you'll get it. We'll get a quick word from our sponsors, then we'll bounce to the show. Today's show is brought to you by Silver Haze. Silver Haze is a hairspray for men. I'm fucking kidding. Silver Haze is a phenomenal weed strain. If you could get your hands on it, legal or otherwise, fuck the government. Just kidding. Whatever YouTube's rules are, I'll just roll with it. Check out Silver Haze. I'm on it right now. You would never be able to tell, but it's fucking phenomenal. Fucking smoke that good.
That's enough of COVID. You had a heavy agenda. You had a lot of items, a lot of things that you wanted to discuss this morning.
Well, there was
topics that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, there's only one topic that I really want to focus on today, and that was the sort of family strike that I went on. Give me a second to sip my coffee. No, go ahead, Bob.
No, two things. I didn't understand that, and I apologize for chewing on this cracker right now, but go ahead.
So you didn't get any texts, I guess, from my mom?
Did I get a text from her? No.
That's surprising.
It could be that I did lose all my data, and I lost for 2 or 3 days. I lost any texts that came into me, new texts.
Right.
She may have sent me something and I didn't get it.
Yeah, well, anywho, Monday or Tuesday, I had something to do for work.
This week or the previous week?
What?
This week that just passed?
Yeah, like within the last 7 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was Tuesday, and I had time entry, which is, something you just gotta take seriously and get in on time. And, excuse me, Buchenwald, just fucking starts with me. Because
say that again, what was it you had to get done?
Time entry.
Time entry?
For work. Like my billables.
That's how you log in your billable hours and all that stuff?
Yep, and that's how the firm makes money, so you don't fuck around with it.
Yep.
And I already told the accounting person, like, hey, can I just get an extra hour to wrap this up? And, sure, whatever. But Buchenwald, every time I walk into the bathroom and saw the tub, it was fucking filthy and disgusting because Buchenwald runs the water all the way fucking up. I don't know if she takes baths or really long showers, but I always just walk in, the water's fucking full and needed Drano and shit. But she just started it on me. You leave the tub. Fuck, every time I'm quoting someone else, I say my own name. God damn it. Malcolm, you always fucking ruin it.
That out later, but no, it's barely noticeable.
I know, but like, it's listening to myself. It's a habit I've caught on to, so I'm trying to change it.
Got it.
But anyway, she's like, she just starts in on me, and I don't have time. I don't have patience for this shit. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, you leave this shit filthy. Leave me alone. And she just starts screaming and things. I blacked out, I guess, because things just started escalating. And before I know it, I have Yanni the Don, I have Buchenwald the Butcher, and I have Kat the Doffy the Terrible all gathered around me while I'm still on my laptop trying to do time entry and shit, and they're all yelling at me, and everyone is screaming and throwing a fit, and I just started yelling my head off because like this is fucking unreal. I don't give a shit about this tub. Why is anyone fighting over this? Shouldn't you all be at fucking work right now? You know,
Well,
like I'm
good
really
point.
trying to get something done, really like in short order, and everyone's just fucking harassing me. It feels like, and I just snap, and I'm probably gonna have to censor this part, but my mom, Kat the Doff, starts getting, and like at one point something, and I say to her, "You keep. I'm gonna open that front door, and I'm gonna whole neighborhood if you do not get your fucking hands off of me." She didn't believe me, so I committed an act of terrorism.
Okay.
I don't think anyone was really out. I'm sure someone out there must have heard it, but I just screamed 4 times. God! And you know, it was all very traumatic, and at different
Dramatic
points.
and hysterical. It's hysterical, like you sounded like you were in hysterics, basically.
Yeah, and even before that, I'm being manhandled, and I can't smack a woman, so I
Right.
just put my hands on each of her shoulders. Like, I don't grab her or forcefully or anything. I just put my hands on her shoulders, and I start walking forward, like, back away from me, back away from me, back the fuck away from me. And they all just keep coming at me, so I have to fight asymmetrically. I'm not saying what I do is right, but
Hmm.
spur of the moment, passionate heat. I would have preferred that to, some fucking woman beating shit. So,
Yeah. Exactly.
so whatever.
But so the reaction was that you spoke to this
Oh,
person about leaving the bathtub a mess all the time.
yeah. And then when we started getting to just like the real heat of it all, I kept screaming over and over that I wanted Buchenwald out of the house and that I was goddamn sick of it.
Hmm.
Goddamn sick of it. Sick of her bullshit, sick of her causing fights over stupid petty shit, upsetting people all the time, refusing to work or do anything for anyone, does less than the bare fucking minimum and expects a fucking trophy. Arrogant, ignorant, no self awareness, just etc. etc. A totally toxic fucking person. And the next morning, I tell my parents that either you kick her the fuck out, or I'm just gonna do what she does. Which means nothing for you. Which means now you've got 2 useless mouths to feed. Go figure it out. Because they've just talked and talked and talked, and, both of them said, "Oh, you think I don't want to throw her out?" I'm like, "I'm sure you do, but you just talk about it. You don't ever fucking do anything, ever. So, like, why should I take any of this seriously? You know? And
I'm trying to, visualize this as you're talking about it. When they came in, did all three of them come in at the same time at you?
short succession.
Like, it was like bang, bang, bang.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so go on.
And so yeah, for a day or two, I just had an attitude and was just like, nah, do it yourself, fuck you.
Hmm.
And it turned out for the better, actually, surprisingly, I think, because what they did was just talk to Buchenwald, and it's not what I asked for, but it's good enough. Um, for me to not like just move out now, but They basically forbid her from just talking or commenting or interjecting herself into any conversation that has to do with me, which she does all the time.
Okay.
So, I'm like, all right, that's, you did something. And I was very apologetic and thanked her for that, for, saying something and doing something.
Mhm.
So I went back to just, being the good one. So it's been stable since.
Okay. So the strike ended up going from bad to good.
I would say so. I
Okay,
went on strike, Bob, and it worked. So I fought the law and I fucking won.
yeah, Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer 4, right?
No idea.
Yeah, I fought the law and the law won. The Bobby Fischer 4.
Yeah. I know it's a song, but I don't know the guy.
Yeah, Bobby. What was that, Bobby? Anyway, somebody wrote a punk band did a single, Bobby. What if Bobby Fischer? Think of it, Bobby, whatever his name was, died for your sins.
Mm.
Because the guy was a strange character musically. Just a little side note. He came out of Texas, and he's sort of a greaseball who was into playing, kind of like road funk, kind of songs that motorcycle drivers would listen to and things like that. And he ended up in glossy LA, was like a fish out of water, and just didn't seem to fit in. And his death was a strange death, and they never could explain how he died, or what the cause of death was. But they found his vehicle in the desert. So there's always been some mystery to him and his whole existence. But he came out with that song, and it was a hit, and LA didn't dig it. He didn't dig LA. It was just kind of an interesting story. It's one that would be worth looking up, actually, if I can remember his last name.
A lot of people seem to have an adversarial relationship with LA.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah, but
But adversarial relationships, I mean, the one that you're discussing right now, what was it that caused this certain person to put her hands on you? Was it just her rage or her inability, or was she angry at the other person?
Yeah.
Making a mess? Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't all directed at me by any means, but the physical part was. And I wasn't even like fucking. At a certain point, I chased Bokenwald around the house a little bit, pretending like I was gonna throw my iced coffee at her, which I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
That lasted about 5 seconds. And and that's about as almost dropped my phone. That's about as physically destructive as I got.
Okay. So she went and got your mother all stirred up, basically.
Well, Yanni had a thing for work, so he also instantly started shouting, fucking stop it! Fuckers! You fuckers, stop it!
Okay.
So,
And who were the fuckers that were supposed to stop it?
the children.
Okay.
And, I mean, they have such a rigid no picking between the kids policy that I think is horrible. It incentivizes awful behavior, and I'm going to use a very different parenting strategy when it's my turn. But, at one point, Kat the dog says, you're asking me to choose between my children. And I told her, no, I'm not. I am not asking you to disown your daughter. I am not asking you to never speak to her again. I'm just saying that she's almost 33. She's got a good job. Throw her the fuck out. She's toxic, and you're just punishing all of us, including yourself.
Okay.
And
that struck a nerve.
No, this was said later when I like the next day when I said I appreciated, that she did something. So
Okay. Okay. But that's not like it was top 10. Thrillers in Manila's at your house. But it was up there, huh?
I'm sorry. Say again.
The boxing match. The Thriller in Manila. I said it sounds like it wasn't one of the Thriller in Manila, but it was up there, huh?
I mean, compared to the high school days, I suppose it was no biggie, but I don't know. It's just, it got me depressed for part of the week, and, you know, I've, like, slapped myself out of it and managed to do some productive things this week, like, all those writings and stuff, but, um,
Okay, so that is absolutely excellent. You took it and you used it as you used it as a way, you funneled it in a way that was positive into your creative self, your intellectual self.
well, some of the creative, I think, just came out of some really good-ass weed, which I'm probably going to shout out on this pod for a sponsor this episode. But, I mean, because the short story idea, I was just listening to some, Jordan Peterson podcast with, what's his name, Brett Weinstein, I think, and something just really clicked in my head because it was an element of that fiction book I was working on with like the Rich Moon people, but I'm like it's kind of a short story in itself. So did you happen to actually have a chance to look at that?
No, but I read your piece on World War II, your Hitlerian stuff.
Well, thank you for describing my writing as Hitlerian, Bob. I really appreciate. I really appreciate it.
I'm talking about topical.
Yeah.
That's the topic of Hitler. And also, I got the name. It's Bobby Fuller. Just came to me. Just popped in my head. It was the Bobby Fuller 4. Okay.
Yeah.
That was bugging me. All right, I can focus 100% on the podcast now. All right.
Word.
No, you're talking about the thing you sent me the video. No, I did not have a chance to look at that.
Well, I didn't really care about the video. Which video? Because it sounded like 5.
I know the recent one. You said you have
the one was it the one that came with the World War II?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even mean to send it, but I think because I had a timestamp in there that was like a hyperlink to it. But yeah, because all that was said at that point was like, we had to stop the Holocaust, man. Like, we're the good guys, and I'm just like. The thing is, Bob, I can tolerate some hyper-patriotism propaganda. I don't mind seeing some awesome World War II movies where we really look like the good guys, and there were good guys within World War II, within the Allies' ranks, and like individual resistors and freedom fighters and all that good stuff. But from a geopolitical standpoint, that wasn't about altruism. That wasn't about being the good guy, in my opinion. It was like, what the fuck else were you going to do? Like, just ignore Nazis and Bushido code, Japanese kamikazes? Like, get out of here.
Exactly.
You allied with the Soviet Union, and you're more critical of Putin than you are of Stalin, so...
Right. But they had to sell it that way. There wasn't any other way they could do it.
Well, I don't even think it was a selling thing. Well, there's definitely some like part where you gotta sell people on, war, but I don't think it was hard. I think a lot of the good guy thing really just comes from, sort of survivor's bias, where we got through it, and, I've heard this discussed with, some veterans where some of them, as time goes on, it starts to actually feel like kind of the good old days, even though it was hell at the time. And maybe just because that's when there was action and meaning in their lives, but that's a whole other thing. But I just thought it was interesting because a lot of that stuff is a combination of things I've heard other people say. What I've never heard anyone postulate till now, I'm probably misusing that word, but whatever, but the idea that part of why it's really easy to be the good guys when you're on a really geographically isolated fort, basically, with a 3,000 mile moat on both sides. And I think when you're on the losing side, it's a lot easier for the evil and, um, the bad guy thing to really manifest itself. So, with us running Japanese internment camps, it was, you could definitely argue it was wrong. I don't think you could argue it was equivalent to, being in a Japanese POW, because that was just beyond savage. But, but, if we started losing on the Pacific front and the Japanese started, doing rape of Nankings and doing these awful things on our soil, do you think we would have gone nicer or meaner? And do you think, we could have really ramped up the internment camp things into something really ugly?
Oh yeah.
I don't think the thing is, it's just like we had that capacity. I think it's just the circumstances allowed us to avoid such, emotional, desperate measures.
Right. It's also the identity of who we are. We're the United States. We're the people who are reasonable about this stuff, and we care about other people. And yeah, we might have to kill some people and do a little damage, but it's all in the best interest of the common good. So you've already got a game plan, so to speak. Throws a lot of cover.
Yeah.
When bodies start piling up, by bodies in other countries, and those people happen to be your allies, well, you have two choices. One is to ignore it and let it go, and the other is to do something about it. And obviously, we have always had the reputation of being active or proactive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can either have the reputation as the person who lets down all your allies, or you could step up. But, if it was really just about saving people who are on hell on earth, I mean, how many third world countries on every continent could we invade and, try to bring democracy? It's just like, no one attacks.
You could just put up a map of the world and start throwing darts.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's just war's super expensive, and if you can't profit from it, then the only other reason you're probably fighting it is because your survival depends on it. So
right.
It's just something very conflicting for me, because it's so, there's no middle ground anymore. It's like either the country is the greatest thing ever, or it's just like Satan, the land of the United States of Satan land. Yeah, Istan.
Yeah. Black and white.
Yep.
Very black and white. As you think back to your days in high school, for instance, do you remember it being black and white as you learned about it?
Learned about which part?
Just the history of it. Wars in particular. World War II, for instance, Vietnam War.
Well, the thing is, I wasn't as into all that in high school. Like, I was still kind of just a lazy video game nerd. And, I had some interest in things, but I just wasn't as well read. And I started off with the super leftist perspective that America is just evil, and that, it's just all built on slavery and genocide and hypocrisy. And it's just like, and today I would say, yes, all of those are things, but we can either fixate on all that and try to change the past, which, unless you got a time machine, good luck.
Right.
Or we can look at the positive things from those eras, like Enlightenment thinking and freedom and different, aspects that we can appropriate. Basically, just take what's useful, run with that, and just throw away everything else,
What do you think it was that sort of led you to lean left? Because I leaned left also, but I was not in the majority at the time leaning left.
Huh. Well, I'll ask you next, but to answer your question, it's just that's how I was raised. Like, in high school, like, I would say probably 90% of the kids were Democrats, if I had to guess, and a bunch of the teachers were liberal, and my parents were super democratic, and I still remember like the little shock I had when I went to Denison in Ohio, and I was chilling with some people, and we were being really friendly, and they were being really cool and nice, and then I found out they were Republicans, and I was like, what?
Right, exactly.
But you're supposed to be a Neanderthal. You're supposed to
Yes,
be a racist. Why
yes.
are, why are we, why is this a it's not even just like white people, it's like multiracial Republicans too, and it was just, at the same time, which added to the, shock as well, so,
Yeah,
black people don't vote Republican.
right, right.
And just, I had a very simplistic view, and I, just wasn't, I was also, it was a time when the Tea Party was really becoming a thing, and, you know, I've heard some people, I don't know much about it, so I don't have a strong opinion. I've heard some people say, you look back on Tea Party rallies, like, yeah, maybe there were some racist assholes within that group, but like a lot of those events, they left the place cleaner than they left,
Oh
when
yeah,
they
sure.
came. And I don't know, because I definitely remember arguing with people online who were like Tea Partiers, and I could definitely see the Islamophobia coming out.
Hmm.
So, but I just it was very much like the boogeyman. These are the Nazi radicals that want to take over the country. So that was the narrative I was going off,
Okay,
and I
okay.
just didn't question. And I was also just young and impressionable, and just hadn't really developed those like, huh, can I just take everything on face value? Just
Right,
all I cared about was fucking video games and porn. I was like fucking 20 or my early 20s, so
right. And I just think that it was you think about adolescent rebellion, and at the time in the late '60s, to some of the stuff that was going on, really fit into for me, the adolescent rebellion. The questioning society and the dogmas that we lived with our whole lives, and looking at the people who were protesting, and they were cool people. Abby Hoffman, people like that. You know, they were just interesting people. Black Panthers, but all that stuff. So I tended to be interested in that, and they also were opposed to the man and the establishment as it was. It was just a natural to sort of lean in that direction. But as I went into college too, and realized when I went back to Syracuse to go to football games and meet up with my friends there, my best friend, and they were very much diehard Republicans. Their hero was at the time, who was the guy who was the vice president, who shot somebody on a hunting trip.
oh, Cheney.
Yeah, his daughter, turned on her people this past year. The Republicans, yeah, Dick Cheney, they loved the guy.
Huh.
He was at the football game, and they were just going out of their minds like he was, a rock star. And I said, "Holy shit, are you guys serious?"
You guys are hailing Satan? What's up with that?
Yeah. And they would look at myself and my friends from here as, you guys are just foolish liberal Democrats. You don't get it. That was their view of us. You guys just don't get it.
Hmm.
You're living in a whole different world, fantasy world.
Yeah.
Let's get real, You want all your tax dollars going to these welfare programs and things like that. We would argue argue for them, and they would argue against them. But a lot of what they stood for really, and as I got older, made sense. Wasn't based on racism or anything. It's more of an economic centrist point of view.
Hmm.
But we got way off tangent here, and I don't know how, but we did.
Can
We
I,
started with your crisis, and
can
then
I,
that evolved into discussions of world wars and those kind of crises.
so can I throw a random dart, or do you have any?